Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to First Friday. It is the start of May, and we've got lots on the go in the system, and we've had a lot of great things happening. We did have a good Ag Day just about a week ago. It was a bit windy, record winds, I think, and it was hard time to keep exhibits upright, but that didn't keep the crowds away, and we had a great Ag Day. And a personal thanks to everyone who contributed in so many ways. Betsy Morris in particular for doing the work for the extension exhibit tent. With that, Aisha and Allison for doing all the legwork with our legislative event. We did have two senators that came to the legislative event and spent over 2 hours with us. We also had a proclamation that was brought by the one senator for both the college's 150th and for extension's 105 years. I'm sure Ernie Lopez had a hand in that, as well as the senators that were here to present that. Dave Sokola was here, and Laura Sargent were the two senators that were here. Dave is on the bond committee, and Laura is on the Joint Finance Committee. Before last week, Laura knew nothing about extension, so we had a great day educating a senator about that, and Senator Sokola indicated he was thrilled to be asked for something at UD that wasn't in Star Campus. So that was one of his comments, that he was glad to get to know some other parts of the university, and he does serve the Newark area. So all in all, we had a great weekend last week and then went into a busy week this week, as you guys always are. There's plenty going on all the time. We had interviews for our Kent County Ag position. And just a reminder to everyone to please get your input into Emily Ernest. We'd like you to do that today if possible. The committee is meeting on Monday, and we'll be making the recommendations, and you've been provided information about the seminars. And then coming up this week, in this coming week, we have interviews for our FNEP coordinator position. I'll have the interview information and the seminar information in Directors Weekly today when I get it sent out. And you'll also have opportunity to provide input on the seminars of these candidates. So in addition to all our normal things, doing some additional work with all our hiring that's going on, which is a great place to be. I have no complaints that we're able to hire, so that's good news. So with those updates, I want to turn, this is going to be the Michelle and Lauren show today. We have a lot of things that are going on within communications, and communications has been so helpful with our legislative event, with our impact reports that we now have the new impact reports that you submitted from your accomplishment reports last year, all but ready to go and upload. They've been busy writing stories and telling about us. They've had a huge involvement in social media and more to come. So let's just say there's lots rocking and rolling, and I'm going to turn it over to Michelle and Lauren to cover a number of communications topics this morning. And welcome to the crew gathered in Michelle's office this morning. I don't know who's leading off, but good to see the crew there. So Michelle, I'll turn it over to you, 1L.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Happy May. Actually, I'm going to turn it over to Lauren because I think you're going to lead off. Lauren is our liaison for iHeart UD Day, and this is our second year doing it. And Lauren, do you want me to show screen and you talk, or do you have something prepared?
No, if you want to show the screen, that'd be great.
Okay.
And Michelle, I just comment, this is our first year doing iHeart UD for cooperative extension.
Yes,
so
yes.
We'll give a little background, just a few words, maybe say a few words about that. I was contacted on this issue by our former agent, Rhonda Martell, and by her daughter, who now works for UD in development. And it was great to hear from her. And she obviously knew of extension and was very, wanted to encourage us to be a part of this fund development activity, which is really a social media kind of GoFundMe kind of campaign. And I'll let them tell more about it, but this is all new to us. and a new opportunity. And so we've had a little bit about this in Directors Weekly, but I think Lauren's going to fill us in. She's much more informed and learned about this. So go ahead, Lauren.
All right, thank you. So for anybody who doesn't know me, I am Lauren. I'm the Cantor Communication Specialist in Newark. So it's nice to be here talking with you guys today. So I did want to talk to you just a little bit about iHeart UD Day, just because we need your help to really make it a success. So iHeart UD Day, you can see on Michelle's screen there now, it's May 15th this year. So please mark your calendars. It's coming up very fast. So traditionally, iHeart UD Day has been an on-campus event. So it's been a chance for students, faculty, staff to go up to main campus to learn about some of the projects that are happening all around the university, and then to learn a little bit about philanthropy and give what they can to some of the projects. So just last year, they turned this into an online fundraising campaign so that it reaches much more than just the campus community. So iHeart UD Day is really, it's an opportunity to drive small gifts. So, people who may only be able to give $5, $10, $20, you might not think that that makes much of a difference if you were to just send that money into the university on any given day. But the idea with iHeart UD Day is that we encourage a lot of small donors to give on this one particular day, because you can watch those project pages throughout the day, and you can really see those totals add up. So, you see that $10 really does have some impact at the end of the day. So one of the main ways that we're going to be working on getting the word out this year is through social media. That's really where this event takes place online now. So, definitely be sure to follow all of the college and extension pages across all of your social media networks. And I think Michelle's going to talk a little bit about that a little later. And just so you guys know too, there are other incentives for us to encourage a lot of donors to give during iHeart UD Day on the 15th. So the Office of Donor Alumni Relations is setting up challenges for us. So for example, they'll say during the 11 o'clock hour, whichever project has the most donors that give during this particular hour will receive an extra $5,000. So we don't
know that schedule yet, do we?
We do not. No, we don't know what those challenges are going to be yet. We find out on Monday, so we'll make sure that we share out that information as soon as we know it, so that we have kind of the best chance of winning some extra funding through that. Now, because this year is the 150th anniversary of the college, we really want to use iHeart UD Day as an opportunity to kind of raise the profile of the College of Extension, not only on campus so that people here know what's going on, but also across the state, which is where all of you come in. We're really counting on you to share this out with your networks, encourage your friends, families, colleagues to support some of these projects. So that's kind of an overview of what iHeart UD Day is. So let's talk a little bit about the actual projects. Last year, there were 40 projects that were submitted across the university. 4 of those were Cantor, so we had about 10% of the projects across the university, which is great. Of those 4 projects, we raised about $2,000 all combined. Not terrible, but we can definitely do better this year, I think. So we had about 10% of the projects, like I said, but only raised about roughly 1% of the total dollar amount that day across the university. So I think we can definitely do better this year. Like I said before, ultimately the idea of iHeart UD Day is more about attracting a lot of donors, so encouraging a lot of people to give to the project, because a lot of those small donations can really add up. So just so you have a general idea of how we did last year, across the university, projects averaged about 50 donors each, but our college projects only averaged about 20. So we really do need your help to get out the word this year. Because like I said, it's the 150th anniversary. We really want to make our mark. And like Michelle said, none of our projects last year were extension projects. So this is the first year that we're including some extension projects. This year we've submitted a total of 7 projects from across the college, and 2 of those are extension. So we want to just dive into those today. So as part of iHeart UD Day, we submitted the From the Ground Up program and the Extension Scholars program, which you may already know a lot about these 2 projects, but we did want to invite a couple of people to talk about them today, just so you can get a sense of why it's important to have support for these programs. So with that, I was going to kick it to Emily, if you're on the call. It'd be great if you could share maybe just a little bit about your experience with the Extension Scholars, and why you'd like to see that program get some support. And then Michelle Wofford, if you want to take over after Emily to go over the rest, that'd be great.
Gotcha.
Thanks, guys.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, Emily.
So I unmuted myself and made it so you can see me. I'm not hiding out anymore. So I have interacted with 2 extension scholars over the years when they were extension scholars, and then a number of other extension scholars after they became graduate students who worked with the vegetable program. But so my feeling is that it's really a great way for UD students to get a good idea what extension does and a good taste of what we do on a day-to-day basis. One of the scholars that I interacted with when she was a scholar, Rebecca Carroll, was she didn't really have a lot of or no experience with extension before she was an extension scholar, but it was something that really intrigued her and that she was very excited about after being an extension scholar. The extension scholar that I advised last summer was Summer Thomas, and she had sort of a lifelong interaction with extension through 4-H and through her family's farming. So she knew what extension was about, but it was for her to see what sort of goes on behind the scenes rather than just sort of the public face of extension that she had interacted with in the past. So we want bright students from University of Delaware to be engaged with extension, to know what extension is about, and to consider it as a career path. And this is a really good way to let them have that experience and opportunity to see what extension is about.
Thank you, Emily. That's great. And I've had, many of us have had, been a mentor twice. I know FCS has had many, and even Christy, I think, had one last year. So it's a terrific program. These, I believe, Lauren, correct me if I'm wrong, are going to go live on the 10th.
Yes, that's correct.
So people can actually start donating on the 10th. But again, there's these incentives. And I know in Sussex County, we're all going to be at the farm tour, so we may have to do our donating on that day, unless we're on our phones and do it from Hopkins Farm. We're going to be there. But please, $5, this makes a huge difference. And even if you can't donate, if you could share it out. And we'll be posting this on all of our social media channels. So if you don't follow our extension pages on social media, these are the handles. They're easy to remember. Please like these pages, because sharing it on your timeline is exponential exposure. I can't tell you how important it is. If I share one of these to my 300 friends, that's 300 people who never would have seen it before if you don't share it. So we're going to be blasting this stuff across all of our platforms. And if you can retweet, share, comment, that is just an awesome gift to us. The next project we have is From the Ground Up. And just like the Extension Scholars, it hits every program. So it's hitting Ag, Lawn and Garden, FCS, 4-H. And so too does the From the Ground Up. We don't have a snazzy video, but we have Tracy Wood, and Tracy's going to talk about From the Ground Up and what that's about. So
yes, so thanks, Michelle. It's so important that we have this outreach for our communities. For those of you that don't know, a lot of the newer communities going up will have a community garden as part of their package for health and wellness. Been working with Nancy Mears, Megan Pleasanton from Dell State, and then Carrie Murphy. We've all done outreach for community gardens, and we have had some great feedback of what people are looking for. We also want to be able to enhance this experience for people. So We have SNAP Ed funding for low-income families that we do outreach for, but it is limited to hand trowels, drip irrigation, a raised bed, things like that. We would love to be able to enhance what we're doing with that grant, and we are not able to do that for other communities because it is limited to low-income families. So we are excited about this because we have the opportunity to enhance it. Something as simple as a garden journal that we have that help them really set these groups up for success. I just got a request from the Frankfurt Library for a teen garden. We've been working with a crisis house in Georgetown, right in town. And so each one has its own unique purpose. And so we'd like to be able to do everything we can to help them. If it's $5, it buys a trowel. You know, $15 does the soil test. And while we're there, we have a lot of great volunteers who are going out and doing one-on-one with these groups and enhancing and, you know, providing a lot of wonderful education through those experiences. So we are looking for your help. We are going to blast this out to our volunteers who are so passionate about what they're doing and what Extension does. And that's what I'm so excited about, is we're going to get the Extension name out there to people who may not even know we're around. So I encourage you to, any volunteers, consider, we will do a video. So hopefully you'll be able to see some of the things we're doing already, and then what we could do so much more, because we don't have the funds to do all the requests that we've received so far. And we have a great track record with this, so we know what we're doing. So hope you'll consider our project. Love the Extension Scholars too, though. I'm gonna do both.
I'm gonna donate to both. That's for sure. That's, you know, spread the love. Spread the love.
Thank you.
But
Michelle, perhaps you would, this is great, and I think it's helpful. I think some folks know what this is that you're scrolling through and what you're showing, but can you and Lauren talk more about what this is, since people probably haven't seen this before, and how this factors in, what you're showing the web, how that factors into the campaign?
This is community funded, so unlike, it's similar to the GoFundMe's that you see on Facebook, but they take no percentage. This is 100% of the donations go. So this is going to be existing in the framework, or the University of Delaware is going to be sharing this within a framework. It's not gone live yet though, correct, Lauren?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. So on May 10th, all of the projects across the university are going to be on a University iHeart UD website. I'm not sure exactly how they're going to break that down by college. I know last year when I donated for something, everybody who donates got a brick on the wall, so that's like a virtual brick. But these go live on the 10th, and they will be available through the University iHeart UD website. But Lauren and I will be able to actually share directly these campaigns on social media. So for the Extension accounts we have, this is the short link for this one and this one. So these will be shared out on our social media platforms, so the end user will see this and they can share, they can hop right onto the site and go, oh yeah, I'd like to donate. And so they'll go here and click, and we'll be able to watch that grow. So it's going to be on multiple ways that you'll be able to find this. Does that answer your question, Michelle?
Yeah, that's helpful, because I think people may not realize that. So you've done the video, the Extension Scholars, and I just want to add, many of you know that we've been trying to collect the emails of the Extension Scholars, and we've asked you to put that into the sheet that we sent out, and we haven't gotten a lot of them, but we have a few of them, and our plan is to contact as many scholars as we can, and also indicate to them this is an opportunity for them to give back. And we're looking for $5, $10 kind of gifts, things that former students who are in new jobs hopefully could consider in terms of what they've done, or, as you said, people in the community as well, to give to that. And I'll also add that my husband and I are planning to do a match gift. When we find out what these challenges are, I'm going to make some kind of match opportunity for all the cooperative extension gifts that will be there, one-to-one kind of match, so to help increase our giving to the extension piece. So I will lay that out, and I just need to see what what the university is putting forward, what's most beneficial for us for when I do a match for that. But I'm going to challenge all of you to give. because I'm going to match what you give. So I appreciate that. Probably up to a dollar amount here, but I want to do that as a way of saying that giving is a part of life, and us giving to Extension in a small way can really add up to 2 programs that really matter to all of us. So I just reiterate what you already said, that it's not so much about the amount of money as it is the number of us giving and pooling our support out for this. I think it's a great way in this year when we're also doing this legislative push for additional state funding to show our stakeholder support and the swell support internally and externally to Cooperative Extension as we seek additional funding from the state, and for them to see our efforts to support our programs that we take as well as just asking them.
That's great, and that is a terrific lead-in to. I'm kind of skipping around here on the on our agenda because this leads into what Michelle was talking about, the legislative. I guess you're asking, or you're making a request for more money. Is it, Michelle, than we normally get?
So the specific request that we're making in the state legislature is for a $500,000 increase to our base budgeting on an annual basis. So it's this year and ongoing.
Okay.
So it's a significant ask. When you look at what we get in total, then it is about a quarter increase to our budget. So it's a very significant ask for us, but would also significantly help us. And as we sent out the sheet with Directors Weekly, and we can do that again, we've targeted some specific areas that we would utilize the funds to help us with, but it also just helps sustain our organization going forward because our state funding hasn't increased as our fringes and our promotions and increases have. That hasn't kept up by the state funding and or the federal funding, quite frankly. So it's a point of where we need to ask, and we're doing a lot of conversations with our legislators, and they've been very supportive in conversation, and I'm very grateful for that because it certainly speaks to the work that all of you are doing, that they're supportive. You know, they're excited about what you're doing, all of you are doing in the community. So we'll see when it gets down to it. I know they have a lot of people asking. So we'll see what happens when it gets down to making the difficult decisions that they have to make. But that's where we are.
And you know, Michelle, you made a very good observation that Senator Sturgeon, who I also talked with a little bit later when we walked back up to the campus, she didn't know about Extension, and she was telling me she was delightfully surprised to find out, I didn't know you did this and I didn't know you did that, but she didn't know. And Michelle and I and most of us in Extension know that deer in a headlight look. I love telling people I work for Extension when I'm sitting in an airport because I watch their reaction. Very few get and even know what it is. So to that end, our communication team met on Tuesday. We kind of last minute brainstormed an idea. This is just hot off the press and has room for massaging and tweaking, but I wanted to share this with you. And I've elicited Jamie, who's our A&R grad and my intern until she begins her grad student assistantship with Jared. I have her for another month, so we put her to good use. So we were thinking about doing a very simple, short, please don't overthink this, media blitz on what is Extension. And originally I was thinking we could all participate, and we all can, but for the legislative pitch, we thought we would try to just garner stakeholders. So this would just be asking a stakeholder with your smartphone, please though, not this way, but this way, just going up to a stakeholder and saying in one word or one sentence, what is Extension? And getting that original, genuine, authentic, mistakes and all feedback from them. And so it could be something like, Cooperative Extension and 4-H taught me about robots, or Extension has helped me learn more about STEM projects through 4-H, or Extension showed me a great recipe that I can serve to a family member who has diabetes. Real short, real sweet, don't overthink it. So Jamie and I decided yesterday to just try to show you some examples of what this might look like. And we actually purchased for a whopping $5, we purchased this little intro to kind of jazz up the presentation. But anyway, this is some way, these are some questions you can think about. Cooperative extension, ... inspired me to, helped me, recommended to me, impacted me by XYZ, and just have them make a heartfelt statement about it. So the goal is to keep it short. I don't think we have to overbrand this because it's just going to be on social media. I don't think we have to worry too much about photo releases for adults, if they're on youth, but if they're in 4-H, that's okay. We can kind of tweak that a little bit later. I think there's a place for humor and imagination here. The idea is they look authentic and organic and genuine from the speaker to the audience. So here's an example. We just horsed around yesterday with this so you can see what it can look like.
Oh, the sound's off.
Oh, the sound's off?
Wait, no.
Oh. Okay. Oh, I want to show you. It has this cute little typing sound. Hold on.
Cooperative Extension has inspired me to make healthier snacking decisions, like fresh cut fruit or even fruit chips.
Boom, 20 seconds. Here's another one. Let's see here. We did like 4 of them.
Cooperative Extension is a great resource that provided me the opportunity and resources to start a community garden within my own neighborhood.
Here's one that could be a selfie. We don't want to rule those out, do we?
Cooperative Extension has agents who recommend the best cover crops like the one behind me for my farming operations and that help with my soil fertility and health.
And lastly, this is a more traditional soil cover crop.
Cooperative Extension has agents who are experts in cover crops and can recommend what's best for my operation and to help better my soil health.
So I'm pretty excited about it. I think we can do a lot with this. And I think for Michelle, and chime in here, for your purposes, we could string these together in one longer presentation that would show, 4 stakeholders. But I see this accumulating and we get hundreds of these that we can rotate. So a different 2 might show on Facebook on Mondays and Fridays, and we might do a different 2 on Twitter on Tuesdays, and a different one on Instagram on Saturdays, so that everybody, and then rotate them, so that we do this throughout the year, throughout as long as we want to, because I do think that there is a inherent need to explain what extension is, and we have enough diversity in our programs and in our stakeholders to really impact, I think, to be very powerful. So the idea is, though, to be, and I don't know if there's any questions about this, but it can be done with your smartphone, and we'll be happy to film them, but for us to do it up in Newcastle County, it's not really cost effective. But I think this could be a great start to explaining what extension is.
Michelle, I'll just add that when I first saw this and this idea, it's just clean and fresh and simple. And I have, in my work with the legislative, Laura Sturgeon wasn't the only legislator that I met with that knew nothing about cooperative extension. There are others. And it's also true of our general public, and we're aware of that. So I think this is a great way to have some extension literacy happen all around us in such a simple way that isn't imposing, it's not lengthy, and we just educate the people in our state as a result of doing this about who we are. I'm really tired of the best kept secret stuff about extension. And so not just because of this campaign that we're doing now, but just for the overall piece, I think this is just a simple, clean, and fresh piece. And particularly as told by our stakeholders, that just says a lot about the value of what we're doing. So I love this, and just encourage us all to do that. Do you have any tips? I know you said landscape. We just do video. Put the video on and turn it on video and record. And
the main thing is this is not the kind of thing where you should all sit down and have a meeting over. You just go out and do it. Just ask somebody. I personally think because we're not promoting a specific program or we're not inviting the public to attend something, that we can loop. As you notice, we didn't have the justice clause on here. I can probably at the very bottom say University of Delaware is an equal opportunity provider. But I really wanted to keep it simple, not have lower thirds, not have identifying people who they are, just putting those voices out there and faces out there in the way that they most feel comfortable doing it. So I think for stakeholders, you put it in their hands. But I do think beyond that, it could be day in the life of an agent. What do you do during the day? I explain your program, explain who you are. So I think it has broader than just stakeholders. But I think for Rochelle, for your purposes, I think they're going to see it. And people are going to, because they're short, they're going to be very shareable. People can tag them. So use your imagination. And then when they're done, because these are all in the 20 to 25 second range, so they can be texted to me and Jamie as long as I have her. But we have the template in place. We'll just drop it right into that opening and the closing, and it's done. It took us a half an hour to do 5 of them, so it doesn't take long to do.
So Michelle, just talk us through the step-by-steps for all of us who are not as geeky as you are in terms of that. So you put your phone on video, you just walk I'm going to say what I think, but I'd rather have you say because I'll get it wrong. But just walk everybody through the simple steps that this is, and then
and if you run into somebody who has a lot to say and wants to start getting wonky, then break that up into 5 things. If they have 5 things they want to say, then that's 5 videos, not 1 video that's long. It's the idea is simplicity. And then, of course, on a really windy day, you heard some wind shear out in the field. That might be an issue. So if you have I have a little microphone that I use on my there it is, right there, iPad. It's like $88. Snap it right in. Kind of helps with the sound. You don't have to do that. Just bring them indoors. But on a really windy day, that would be the only issue I would say. Just have them kind of say it loud enough to hear it. And you can play it right back and you'll hear it, see if that's going to be good. But I even think the selfie one, going like this, and
Authentic.
It's authentic. James Atkins did that for Facebook on a downdraft video, and he did the whole video like this, talking into it. Not professional, not scripted, and it was one of our biggest, thousands of views. So if people relate to something that isn't too polished and too slick, this needs to be simple and from the heart. Just ask the person, if a Martian landed down on this planet, you had to explain what extension meant to you, what would you say to them? And that's the answer we want. Something it can be general, it can be very specific. And I think humor has this up. I would love to see an agent stuck in the mud saying extension is getting out there when the conditions are rough and still doing the job, like the post office, rain, sleet, snow. I have an extension agent out in an umbrella in a torrential rainstorm and saying, we help farmers when the weather's crazy, we're here for farmers, and have something like that. So I do think there's a place for staff to do this too. that's that. And you can talk to me about any ideas you might have. The other thing is, with regard to social media, I'm going to jump in. We have a really big contest. We're in third place and really close to second place. And we're going to have Karen Johnson talk to us about the 4-H Raise Your Hand initiative. And I'm going to...
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Michelle, I really like that PSA thing, the short and sweet. Great. So we'll be shooting some videos, I'm sure. Just to give everybody a little bit of an update, National 4-H Council runs an initiative. This is the third year. It's called Raise Your Hand, and it's very easy to participate. It's really just a matter of going online to the 4h.org website /raise your hand, type in your name.
It is to raise your hand and vote for Delaware.
Hi,
In Delaware.
Everyone, I'm going to show you.
oh, I wanted to just play this while you were talking. Go ahead.
Okay. And so it is very simple to participate. And you do not have to be in 4-H to participate or even have any affiliation. Just click in there that you're from Delaware. So a couple of years ago when this initiative first started, it was based on a per capita, and Delaware was awarded first place. And that provided us with, I think it was $15,000 that we were able to utilize to do a lot of science initiatives that help youth statewide. And last year, when they ran the program, they did it such that it was not per capita, and that put us at a little disadvantage. So I think Texas or somebody took it. So right now we are in third place, but we have a chance at second. Nebraska is in second, and they are only about a percentage point away from us. We would like to at least hold third and possibly move into second place, because the way the funding goes, it's $20,000
For first place.
Yeah, for first, $10,000 for second, and $5,000 for third place. And we do have until May 15th to raise our hand. So I encourage everybody, please do it. It's very simple. It only probably takes about 30 seconds. And you can even opt out of receiving any email newsletters. You can sign up everybody in your whole family as long as there's a different email address. And definitely keep us in third and move us into second, hopefully.
And I think if I did my calculations correctly, it was funny. Mariana Islands vaulted to first place with 277 votes.
Yeah, they have 55%.
Yeah, they have more now, and it's a complicated calculation. But if I did it correctly in my head, and I'm no mathematician, if we could get 1,000 more votes, we could secure definitely second place, and we would have a run at first place. 2,000 votes, we could probably overtake Mariana Island. So it's getting it out there to, if you could go on to our Facebook page and share it out on your timeline and ask your friends, or it's everywhere. So we're like bombarding the internet right now with social media with this campaign. But if you know any influencers, do you know anybody important that has a big audience, could they share it? That would be awesome. We have a shot. We definitely have a shot at the 5. I think we're pretty good with that. And probably, $10,000 is a lot. That can buy a lot of camp scholarships or STEM education. So hopefully you can help us out. Vote at work, vote at home. That's different emails. So everybody here can vote twice. And then your spouses and your significant others and your older children. So thank you, Karen. Is there anything else you needed to add?
No, I think that's it.
Michelle, do you
Just
want to show
go
the
vote
video do you want to show the video that shows you how to do it? I think.
Yeah, that was what I was trying to show. And this is, Jamie did this yesterday. Bless her heart. I am putting Jamie to so much
Bye,
work.
everybody.
Because we can share this video, right? All of us can share this video on our page.
$20,000 from the
I'm going to put it on, and I don't have it on Twitter yet, but I'm going to put it on Twitter, but it's on Facebook now. And we'll put it on Google Drive and share it with everybody so they have a link. So here it is. Let me make it, it's going to be kind of low
And I'm going to show you just how easy it is to raise your hand and vote for Delaware to win $20,000 from the National.
Hold on a second, everybody.
Open up Google
Oh, the other.
and literally just,
Thank you.
and it'll pop up. And if it doesn't, here's the website. You can.
I sound like I'm.
Hi everyone, I'm going to show you just how easy it is to raise your hand and vote for Delaware to win $20,000 from the National 4-H Council. So all you have to do is open up Google and literally just type raise your hand and it'll pop up. And if it doesn't, here's the website you can type in. It's very short, very easy to type. Here's the website. You can see the countdown. Right now we only have 13 days, but you better keep updated with it. It ends May 15th, so you better get your vote in soon. So it's really easy. You put your name, your last name, your email address. And with the email addresses, this is how they are counting the votes. So if you live in a household of 4 people and you each have your own individual email addresses, put all of them in. Re-vote each time with each email. This is how Delaware can win. Right now we're in 3rd place, but I think it'll be really easy to bump up to 2nd or even 1st place. So put every single email address you have that you know in to vote and raise your hand for Delaware. This doesn't commit you to anything. You don't have to receive emails. They will not call you. They will not send you emails. All you have to do is make sure you unclick these boxes. The only box that you'd want to click if you don't want emails is that you are at least 13 years old. So again, it's super easy to vote. Make sure you raise your hand and support Delaware youth. Thank you.
All right, so that was the PSA that Jamie recorded yesterday. And, you know, we're boosting posts on here, so we are making, we are paying ads for this so that it reaches, we just made a pitch to the UD network because one of the things we advertise is 4-H is the first class at UD. So we made a pitch on the alumni pages to please vote. UDaily's not going to run a story, unfortunately, but they are, Delaware social media accounts are sharing it out for us. So your churches, anybody you could think of that you could spread the word on, that would be great. So lastly, before we leave, is a change of pace. I was invited to Florida to, I only didn't get to see anything but the hotel. Suzanne Zilberfarb, who is the director of the Delaware and Maryland Soybean Board, is affiliated with the Center for Food Integrity. And those of you who attended Women in Ag conference in February heard from Center for Food Integrity. And we had a guest speaker, I think it was 2 years ago at our extension conference. And their main goal is to empower us on how to talk about agriculture to non-agriculture people who are concerned about the food systems and how they are produced. And so they have a trust model, which essentially is that when you are going to have a conversation with someone who has questions about how food is produced, that you do not lead with science, that you do not lead with economics, but you lead with values. So they will listen to you. They actually do trust scientists, they trust extension people, they trust farmers. But if you start your conversation off with, you don't know what you're talking about, let me educate you, which sometimes I've heard people say, these people need to be educated. And that's condescending to them and insulting to them. So they reinforce the trust model, but the purpose of this presentation was to, I don't want to start from the beginning, I want to start from here. All right, I'm just going to leave it like this because it'll go into a weird mode. The topic of this was a day and a half to actually talk about biotechnology because it is genetically modified food, gene editing, gene splicing, CRISPR, that people are really having trouble with. And one of the things that we did is we witnessed or we watched they invited a panel of people who identified themselves as, I'm just going to blow this up a little bit, as foodies. So they, oh, why is it not? I am hitting plus. It's going the other way. Oh, okay. Wrong plus. Oh, no. It's going, whoa. Hold on a second, everybody. I'm hitting control plus and it's making it into a minus. So let me go to, just made it really. zoom in, zoom out. Let me try control minus. Control minus works. Okay, go
That's
figure.
weird.
Okay, so they had a panel of 6 people who were the ages between 28 and 38. And they described themselves as, and they knew that we were related to agriculture, but they didn't know exactly who we were. We were told not to react, not to roll our eyes. It was very illuminating. One of the people said, I just don't, their main problem with genetically modified foods in any form is that you're tinkering with nature. You don't know what the results are going to be long term. One woman said, I just don't like it when GMOs are sprayed on my product. So they thought GMOs were sprayed on like a pesticide. The moderator was terrific. She asked people about their food choices and things about money, but when they can afford it, they prefer to pick a package up that says non-GMO or non-gluten-free or no hormones. She said, at any time, they all tried to feed their children better. They made themselves go out to fast food. And when someone mentioned fast food, the moderator asked them, well, let me ask you, if you do go to a fast food, do you have a preference? And the girl in the end here said, oh, I love Chick-fil-A. And everybody nodded their head in agreement except for one person. I want to identify that person, but that person shook their head violently left and right, like, no way. And so she said, I see you don't disagree. You disagree with Chick-fil-A. What's your problem with it? And the person said, you cannot tell me that big chicken patty dropping off the sides of that bun is not injected with hormones. You just can't tell me that. And so that is, I know Georgie bangs her head on the wall because that myth is so pervasive, and it still is. So we watched people. The moderator asked, well, how long should genetically modified crop be tested before it gets released to the public? Is 5 years okay? Is 10? And most people, again, the girl on the end, because she was first, she agreed. She goes, yeah, I think 10 years would be sufficient. And then the gentleman next to her said, no way, because 10 years isn't long enough. And with that, we saw her change her mind. She kind of looked at her colleague and said, yeah, I guess that's right. So the peer-to-peer connection was very, very strong. So they influence each other very, very much. So the one thing this is the recommended definition of what they say gene editing is, so that, and you may be asked this when you're teaching your nutrition classes, you're doing a workshop on food safety, food nutrition. You may be asked this in a press setting where a reporter's coming to you. This is the recommendation that they give, Center for Food Integrity, on explaining what biotechnology is. And this is going to be in a handout I'm going to share with everybody. And the last thing I wanted to show you was this handout. And Aisha is going to include it in the link and also put it in the Director's Weekly. But this was the handout that Center for Food Integrity provided me. And I just want to show you, I think this is extremely valuable. They give you that same definition again. Is going to be on page, here are the key takeaways that they talk about. This is the definition of gene editing, they call it, which I thought was really interesting. They also learned from their research that people will accept biotechnology if you can connect it to human health in some way. This was another fascinating 33% of people didn't think that non-GMO tomatoes even had genes. So there's a real disconnect about what the technology is. And our impulse is to go in and teach that to them. And before you teach them the science, you have to connect with them on a much more basic values level, maybe as a fellow parent, as a fellow liker of food, or there's people who prefer organics, and that's fine. There's legitimate reasons to be a vegetarian or to be organic preferring, but it's not good when they think that the other is bad or harmful. So that's where we come in as being able. So I'm not going to read this whole handout to you. The one thing is the gene editing for human health is acceptable. So when you can explain to them it's okay to alter a gene if it's going to cure leukemia or cancer, well, it's also going to cure a disease in a plant. So this is how you maybe make the conversation using human health first. The other page that was interesting was page 9, just some key points. Feeding the world is, again, they hammer this. It's not always the best way to explain or justify what we do. People want to hear a more personal story. And lastly, they say to use an analogy. If you're going to explain genetic modification, these are the 2 analogies that they recommend. We used to use something called the word processor analogy, where you clip and paste a sentence. That's a little bit too, I think that's insulting. That's what they told us, that people feel that's a little too simplistic and a little too insulting. So the house blueprint is a great one. You're building a home, you have an architect, you have plans. Halfway through the build, you decide you want another outlet on the wall, or you want a skylight, or you want to put 2 more inches of R factor in your insulation. You want to make an improvement. So the builder does that. It doesn't change the overall, when the house is built, doesn't change the overall structure and integrity of that build. In fact, makes that house work better for you as a homeowner. So that was one of the analogies that they said people, when they heard that, oh, okay, that it's a very specific change, and the specific change has many benefits. And here's some words that work and words that don't. So I'm going to share this with you. I thought I'm distilling a day and a half's worth of ideas into 10 minutes, but it was, I think if you get a chance, please read this handout. It was very valuable, and I think it's going to help all of us when we're dealing with the public and these questions come up. It's a good way of explaining the science without being, without insulting people. Any questions? So that's all I had to say. We have a whole bunch of chat. Now I can go on here.
Yeah, I'm going to follow the chat here.
The other last thing I wanted to mention really quick, jumping back, I'm like scatterbrained this morning, is on the Facebook, you have a way to add a frame. So on iHeartU Day, you will be able to add a frame to your profile. And there's timelines on this toolkit. They want people to start doing that maybe a couple days ahead of time. And then Facebook will automatically switch it. So they really want to see the blue and gold across on the avatars as well. So feel free to hop into, and this all will come at you through the toolkit here. So it gives you all kinds of, it tells you what the hashtag is, the different filters you can use. You can add signatures to your email. The whole shebang is right there.
So Michelle, if there's particular things you want us to do, it'll be great if you just shoot us an email with what that is. We probably won't all get through that toolkit. We're not as not all feeling like we have the knowledge to do all that. But if there's some specific things that we should do, we hear from you. We'll take a stab at it. So that'd be helpful. So thank you, Lauren, and our intern, and Michelle, and all of you who have put so much into preparations, and all that you do every day for communications. It really is a major part of our work today. I think communications has always been important, but clearly it's a very big part of our world right now, and how we get information out, and how we sustain ourselves going into the future and make a difference in the people's lives that we want to influence here in Delaware. So thank you for all of your help to help us do that every day in so many ways that we don't even know about. But you certainly have shown us a lot of things, and it's exciting things, and simple on our part. You've made it simple on our part to be involved in that, and I appreciate that. So raise your hand for 4-H. iHeartUD, get your money ready to give to both of our extension pieces. Watch for information about how you can help us with that campaign, liking, sharing as the simple ways. And then help us with what is cooperative extension, and just videoing some of your stakeholders, your volunteers, people that you're engaging with in the day-to-day conversation who are involved in extension. These are all simple ways, but important ways that we communicate with our public. So thanks so much for leading us on that. Thanks to everyone who will plan to participate. And have a great Friday, everyone. And stay tuned. March Madness has turned into May Madness, I think, for us. So more to come. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.